post-election, are you so glad it's done?
I'm really happy it's done. We'll talk today about how that's affecting the market post-election. There are a couple things that are affecting the market a little bit. It's post-election, and we just had a rate drop from the Fed, so we're seeing a little bit of an uptick. But we'll talk about that today and how that's affecting the market.
I think you'll be pleased with what we're seeing. So please stay tuned to your local real estate experts, Shayla Twitt and Andrew Reese. So literally the next day after we found out we had a new president, I felt a very noticeable increase in the buzz, the activity, the calls, both from buyers and sellers. What are you seeing?
Yeah, so definitely an increase in activity. We were holding open houses. We have several listings right now. We were holding open houses before, and really nobody was showing up. There was really not a lot of buyer activity. We had, again, several listings, and just nothing was happening in all price points. So it wasn't like
in all areas.
In all areas, all price points. So all of a sudden, we have an uptick in activity, which is fantastic. We are also starting to see, the tourists are coming back. Snowbirds are starting to get back into town. There are some closings that I thought were interesting. A lot of the units at St. Regis closed. We're starting to see a lot of them come back on the market.
Well, not a lot. There's been I think 4.
Yeah, but that's a lot when you figure there's only 68 units in there.
What's the percentage? You're the math with
Well, you have to take into account a couple things. There's 68 units. Okay, but there's 2 different units that were combined. So really there's only 66 units. 2
penthouses at that.
Yeah, 2 penthouses that were combined.
Yes, for $22 million.
Yeah, so I would say, you're looking at about 6% of the units have come back on the market for a profit, and a very noticeable profit. My clients that bought them there were around $1,800 a square foot. I'm seeing them come back on the market at $2,200 to $2,500 a square foot. Still a very high number for Sarasota.
And that generally is skewed. The smaller the unit, the higher the price per square foot, because it's condensed, and so when you calculate it, it looks like a much higher price per square foot. But I was not personally expecting that many
to
turn around so quickly.
I didn't think so either, and I'll also say this. I don't see a market for what they're looking for right now. That's just my opinion.
What do you mean?
So for example, one of the units that hit the market, the smallest of the 4 that hit the market, it's around 1,600 square feet. It's listed around 3.5.
You don't think there's a buyer?
I just don't think Sarasota has a market
I think maybe the window of opportunity was earlier in the year. Maybe,
I do too.
Because we were getting calls of from people saying, "Does your person want to resell it already?" Because that would have been. I think down the road for sure.
I think down the road for sure there will be a market there, but right now it's just a really high price per square foot for a unit that really is a small 2-2. Yes, you're getting all the amenities and restaurants and the lazy river and all the fancy things, all the really fancy amenities, but $3.5 million for a place that's 1,600 square feet, even if it's at the St. Regis. My opinion is I think that's a really high number. But with that being said, you look at Rosewood, and Rosewood has, while they haven't sold 50% of the units that they have sold are the larger units. So a lot of the really high-end stuff sold though 6, 7, 8 months ago, like you were saying. So I just don't see that market there yet. But we're starting to get offers on properties. Admittedly, though, we're still fighting a little bit of buyers, especially out-of-state buyers, are thinking, well, there were these hurricanes, I'm going to come in at 25% under asking price, and that just never is going to work. It's not going to work. It's never going to work in Sarasota.
If you go to our stats videos, like we do every single month, we're hovering at about, if a property is priced well, 94% of the asking price, and obviously it's skewed when prices sell in 3 days. Like I had one this week. I had one recently sell in 3 days. 3 days is my number, so call me if you want to sell.
but if it's a short period of time, obviously you're generally going to get a higher number, which means you're properly priced.
Correct.
But there's not a place in Sarasota, really Manatee, Sarasota, or Charlotte County, where you're going to get a 20% discount. That's something that people generally, like for example, I own 2 homes in Chicago. in different pockets of Chicago, there are places where you can come in really aggressively and just spray offers all over town, and there'll be 2 or 3 people that bite on those offers because they're desperate to get out. Sarasota's market is just stronger. It's supported by the luxury waterfront property.
Totally.
So you're not going to ever really get a discount like that, especially one of the offers I received was on a condo out on Longboat Key. I mean, it was 20-25% lower than asking price. This is a waterfront.
You're insulting the seller.
Yeah, and because when you do that, the seller just came back with a ridiculous counter too.
And I think that one was less than what they even paid or something, right?
Yeah, it would have ended up, if they had taken that offer, it would have been less what they paid. But
so come on, folks.
We have activity on the unit to where it would never make sense to ever accept an offer like that.
Yeah.
And we would reduce the price and get more activity and eventually sell
100%.
it. But they were $100,000 off.
But another awesome thing we're seeing is sellers calling. So
sure.
I'm hopeful to get a couple of really incredible, very rarely available also units coming soon.
The question has been like, where is the market going? You'd asked me 4 weeks ago, I was panicking because we had no activity. You know, a lot of it was election related. No activity. There really, no offers. Really couldn't find any buyers.
Yeah,
we're starting to see an uptick in activity, but we're not fully into season yet.
But here's the thing. This is what I'm telling sellers because
sure.
I've been asked this several times now. The shiny penny that's priced well,
right.
that shows well, that
right.
staged well, don't give buyers a reason to do anything other than the following. Stay as long as possible in your home.
Right.
Move themselves in mentally.
Right.
And physically, and just visualizing themselves there.
Living there.
We accompany the showing so we could see what the buyers are doing when they start sitting on that couch and they start
right.
looking out at the view.
When they start making comments, when they start making
into the property.
Yeah.
So control the controllables, because right now people are somewhat hesitant to do the fixer-uppers. Now, there's a caveat, because 2 that we talked about in recent videos went pending within 7 days that were really storm damaged. So if they're priced well, though,
but we're talking about pricing well.
Price it well, no matter what condition.
If we think the property's worth $700,000 and the number in your mind is $1 million and you won't list it for less than $1 million, it's a total waste of my time and
our
your time.
Resources and everything, because we work really hard for every single seller, and it's important to us that we align with the goals and we communicate and we set the expectation. Like, we're big proponents on under promising and over delivering.
Sure.
Like, I met with the seller yesterday. She's wonderful, and I think I'll be listing it, so we'll see. But she just asked about the marketing. She asked about what I'm seeing, and again, this video is about what we're seeing post-election. What we're seeing is calls, emails, activity, showings, showing requests, asking a bunch of really pertinent questions about the listings, which shows strong interest. People don't ask questions like, the HOA, give me the budget.
Right.
Like, these are really positive, strong
signs,
indications.
But if you are overpriced, especially in this market, it's a total waste of everyone's time. And look, we are incentivized. Obviously, our commission is based on our commission is based on getting you the most amount of money. But if we list your property for $300,000 more than what it's worth, it's going to be a lot of work for us, and it's never going to sell, even if you start reducing it. If the market is declining and you're reducing behind it, you're just chasing the market down. And like, some sellers will say, well, they can just write an offer. They won't.
You're going to miss them to even see it if you're too far apart, and then they don't want, and then they do see it, and then they feel like they're going to insult you. So it's a little bit of an art, what we do. It's, even though it's mathematical, but it's an art, because like, looking at a property that maybe there are no comps, right? How would you know what your property is worth? That's experience. That's pulling private sales.
Right.
Not everything is on the MLS.
Right.
We have had private sales, off-market sales. We have had in-office sales that we know about that aren't out there to the public. We have to be creative sometimes.
Sure.
And with these unique properties that are more expensive, especially, like, everybody wants the most for their property possible.
Absolutely.
Who doesn't?
Well, and we as the agents are obviously well aligned for that too.
Yeah.
Like, we want to get you the most amount of money for your property as well, but it's a complete waste of everybody's time if you're pricing the property too high.
Yeah.
and we're out there marketing it and trying to sell the property, and all it's doing is just sitting on the market, month after month, week after week.
Right.
It's critical anytime, even in an aggressive market where buyers are just snapping up properties as quickly as they can find them. Even that market, you need to be properly priced. Even more so, though, in a declining market, or I don't feel like our market is declining. I do think we are a bit we're a bit stagnant and stabilized. It's an equal market, but if you're overpriced, especially if you're way overpriced, especially in hurricane damaged properties, which we're seeing a lot of now, you're going to be really disappointed, because if you don't get ahead of it and come in on an aggressive price structure, then what's going to end up happening is other properties that are in the area are going to hit the market, and you're going to be too far behind the market.
And the other thing that we're seeing too is neighborhoods that still are not put back together, like the aesthetics of it. You have dumpsters, you have trash still, you have,
it's difficult.
You have garages on the baseline that are still dealing with the drywall exposed because they're still fixing things up. So imagine them wanting to sell, but it doesn't look appealing to sell, knowing that the work will be done. Like they're selling a finished product before it's finished. So like they're getting antsy to want to sell. And strategically,
you're better off waiting.
If you don't wait, the buyer's going to be like, well, I don't know if this will ever get done. I don't know what the assessments are going to be, or if there will be assessments. Some of the HOAs on Longboat Key, I'm learning too, are electing to just have bigger assessments to just finish the landscaping in one project versus in phases, to make the whole community prettier.
Right.
And unfortunately, the salt did a lot of damage, and so there are communities that were very lush that now kind of
don't present all that well.
They're such private to your neighbors, and now it's just a work in progress. And everybody, there was an article in the Observer, the Longboat Key Observer, asking for everybody's patience, and I'm not a very patient person. I went and stepped on yesterday, but I think I portray myself as being patient. So most clients are like, "You're so patient." I'm like, internally, I'm dying inside.
Yes, but it's
because I work quickly and you work quickly, and we want to start calling our buyers because we have a large buyer pool for our sellers. So,
but rushing a property to market doesn't get you anywhere, and there are going to be neighborhoods that are going to have long-term effects of these hurricanes. And what I mean by that is there are a couple neighborhoods where we've been talking to sellers, and their house isn't affected. Right. Their house is beautiful. Their house is elevated. It's newer. But when you pull onto the street, every single house down the street is just decimated, and a lot of them are going to be knocked over.
It's a big objection to overcome.
Well, you can say, but they'll all be gone. By the time we get to market, they'll be gone. You're right, but when you pull into the neighborhood, it's 15 or 20 empty lots driving down to the street, down to where your house is. And by the way, your house is going to be sitting there as like one of 2 or 3 homes on a 3-block stretch.
Right.
It's going to be difficult to overcome that, because at the end of the day, there will be this question of, well, okay, it was fine this time, but look at how badly this was decimated.
And how does that affect the seller?
It's not positive. So and I think that's the gist of, a lot of our videos. We really talk about, make sure your property is priced properly, make sure it presents well, it's priced properly, you shoot professional videos. Our job is to market, advertise, and get people in the door to see it, but it's really critical right now. If you're overpriced right now, generally in these hot markets, what we've seen is you're overpriced, you still have a lot of showings, but people will never come with an offer. Now you're not even getting showings.
Hang on. So someone might, listening to you, might say, okay, Andrew, I get it. So we price it well. What are you going to do for me?
We're going to market and advertise.
Okay, so are you going to market internationally? Yes. But remember, I was telling somebody yesterday, the buyer could be in our backyard.
Right, we are not.
But everything is internet-based, right? Mm-hmm. And then we do a lot of things that, are outside of the box. And you can ask us for, that list.
Sure. We'll happily send it to you. But you'll also see, you and I are very big about what are we physically doing. Any agent can go on their internet, drop it on the MLS, which carries through to all these other websites. Yeah. that's not physically going and doing
that's just
anything.
Bottom of the barrel, normal.
We you know, obviously I don't want to put out our secret sauce as to what we do, but there are a lot of physical things that we go out and we're physically out on the streets. You know, we are physically placing phone calls to people, not just locally, but internationally. There are a lot of things that physically we're doing. That's the value that we bring to the proposition.
Like if I'm meeting with the seller, I have a CV. It's about 45 pages. I've mentioned it here in my YouTube channel. So I try to send that in advance of meeting, because in there's a lot of links, there's a lot of attachments, videos, photos, just references of like past sales, reviews, and things like that. And we get into the guts of the marketing, like what our company does, and then how I operate a little differently. And then I take it a step further, like, you know, and I bring my black box. Oh, what's in that black box? Oh,
it's a lot of our marketing materials
that you can touch and feel, and show you. And just, I know we're going off on a tangent about this post-election thing, but the same principles apply in real estate, right? So after we go on the market for a week, whether we list together or have one on my own or he has one on his own, people still want to know what you're doing and see what you're doing for their property. So after about a week, 10 days on the market, the marketing starts to trickle through all of the places where we want it to go. And you get a huge email. I actually have to send it low resolution because otherwise the email is so big. And, you know, I take a lot of time and care to show the sellers, and that email takes a long time to put together. And in that there's a lot of rich content in that, and showing you like locally, nationally, internationally where we market. Okay. And it's all there for you. And that's something that is really important to us, that we make sure that you know what we're doing, because we don't want you to guess and wonder, like, what are they really doing? Are they just sitting next to a computer?
Well, there's also a link that we send out to all of our clients that you can at any moment link in and see. Not only, well, this is how many people looked at it online, and it breaks down, well, this is who came from Realtor.com. This is who came from Zillow.
And where in the world?
Where in the world are they clicking from? You know,
how many impressions, how many favorites?
So we have all of these resources, but the biggest thing is, you know, we've gone off on all these tangents. I think that like the biggest thing is we are seeing an uptick in the market. Not amazing offers that have come in this week. Granted, it's still 4 or 5 days after election. And we do have a large population of people that are buying from out of state, so they just don't know the market yet. But you know, we are definitely seeing an uptick in activity, and we're hoping that that's going to carry through to, you know, more sales. So we'll see. You know, obviously, feel free to reach out to us anytime. My cell phone number is 941-586-2460.
You can call, text, or email me, shaylatwit@gmail.com. My website's shaylatwit.com. I know, really hard. Cell number, call, text, 941-544-7690.